Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Charlie Gubbins. This is Stephanie Knoll, Knoll Sotogrande Real Estate in Sotogrande. Today we are sitting here because we thought that some of our recent clients and those who are looking at our website, which is thankfully growing and growing in terms of people looking at it, may want to know a little bit about the buying process of a property here in Sotogrande. And we thought we'd just have a conversation about how this works and then see, hopefully you get some good tips from it. Talk to us about what it's all about. So what's the first thing that you do, Steph?
First thing obviously is to decide where to buy.
Right.
Yeah, so the location. And as we are concentrated on Sotogrande, there are lots of different locations within Sotogrande.
Yeah.
So we have the Marina and the beach apartments, so everything close to the beach. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Sotogrande Costa, where we have the kings and queens, where all streets have kings and queens names. Then we have in Costa also a zone called A and B zone.
Right.
A and B zone means all street names start with an A or all street names start with an B.
What's the difference between A and B?
Okay, so A is more are bigger plots than in the B zone.
Okay.
The B zone has, I would say, an average size of 1,300 square meters, while the A zone has more an average size of 1,700 square meters.
Okay.
There are bigger plots as well, and therefore, obviously, also bigger houses. So bigger plots, bigger houses.
Yeah.
So then, so you have Sotogrande Costa, then you have Sotogrande Alto.
Yeah.
We call Sotogrande Alto everything that is above the motorway. Mm-hmm. So we have a bridge from Costa going up to Sotogrande Alto.
Over the motorway.
Over the motorway. And then we have the C zone and the D zone. Mm-hmm. So every street name starts with a C or a D.
Didn't have much imagination, did they?
Well, the street names are quite interesting as well. And then, of course, there is an E zone and an F zone and a G zone.
Yeah.
This is all Sotogrande Alto, where we are getting more views because it's higher up, it's on the hillside, and you may enjoy from some areas very nice sea views.
Okay.
And the last part is La Reserva, which is the M and the L zone. Street name starting with M and an L.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Consistent.
there we have bigger plots.
Yeah.
So the plot size, the average, I would say, is about 3,000 square meters.
And of course, there is the last part that's being developed now, which is the 15 and the 7.
In La Reserva.
La Reserva.
Yeah.
So the L, the M, the 15 and the 7
Exactly.
are up there.
If you decide on the location, then you come to the detail how you locate your house. Which orientation? Would you orientate it to the sea, which means east facing? In Sotogrande, we are east facing when we look to the sea. Or would you orientate your house south? And most people prefer this southern orientation because we have winds here. We have the Levante coming from the sea, and we have another predominant wind coming from the west, which is the Poniente. So to protect yourself more from the winds, you would want to be more south facing. So you have maybe sheltered terraces from the Levante and from the Poniente.
Yeah. So obviously location's about where you want to be, but also can you find the same type of properties everywhere? Could you find a villa in the Marina?
No, the Marina has only apartments and townhouses, so it's high density, as well as the beach apartments, it's only apartments. In the Kings and Queens, we have, which is like the Mayfair of Sotogrande, we have big houses, some very large houses, and also large plots. So in the B zone and A zone, we have individual houses. And in some defined areas, there are also higher density properties like townhouses.
Okay, and apartments?
Apartments are also some in Sotogrande Alto, for example, Valgrande, Hacienda Valderrama, Los Casules. These are all defined areas where we have higher density properties.
Okay. So in summary, when you're looking for location, you need to understand exactly what you're looking for in terms of an apartment, a villa, what size villa, whether you're looking for views, whether you're not worry about those, therefore happy to have a flat garden without a view. So, where you are in Sotogrande is important to understand. In our website, you will find that we have a map, and that will assist you in understanding where things are. All the streets are written out, so you can see that where the F zone is, where the G zone is, and that's very helpful when you're doing your research, maybe before you even arrive in Sotogrande, to understand that, so you can begin to understand where things are. So you can get an apartment everywhere, you can get a townhouse in most places, villas in obviously the areas where you can have a villa and not. Also, remember what Stephanie just said, that if you want to see view, you will have morning sun. It'll be on the east. We face the east, the coast comes down as you come towards Gibraltar from Marbella, and then that's a different thing to look at. Okay, so once you've more or less understood where you're looking for, then people can look on the website and maybe look at what they're looking for, and we specify in the website exactly what zones they are. So
exactly.
If you're searching, you can look for G zone or A zone or B zone,
yeah.
or kings and queens, that sort of thing. And then we will take people around, take people to view.
We make a viewing schedule of properties that we discussed before with the client,
Yeah.
and then we, I think in a very efficient way, we try to schedule all these viewings of properties.
Okay. The next step, of course, is in terms of the buying process, is making an offer. So how does that work? How does the making the offer work?
So once you are sure that this is the house or the property you would like to purchase, and discuss maybe also with us what we recommend a price or an acceptable price could be, then you make an offer and we discuss the offer with the vendor. And once we have found an agreement of a price and conditions of payment terms and everything, then normally there will be a private contract drafted by a lawyer, and with a private contract there's also a deposit of 10% due to be paid upon the signing of the contract.
Okay.
And once a private contract has been signed, then which in the private contract also stipulates the termination, the completion of the purchase. So then there is time to do the legal and technical due diligence of the property, or even to get a mortgage from the bank, and then the purchase can be completed upon this date that has been defined.
Okay. So in the website, you will see in the guides that we have exactly what Stephanie just said. Okay, so you make an offer and you go through the process of saying, this is what you want. You get an agreement but we will arrange the agreement with both sides. And once that's agreed, lawyers are instructed to write out a private contract, which, as just mentioned, is fixed the price, it fixed the date by which the completion will take place, and that should be enough time to allow the buyer to ensure that all the funds required to buy the house are there, and for the vendor to ensure they can actually exit the property, because sometimes you live there and it's not an easy thing to leave a house from one day to the next.
Yeah, and then there's also a possibility if the buyer buys a new property, then or a property which is under construction, there may be different payments, like you make a deposit of 10% or 20%, and then another 30%, and at the end you pay 60%. Yeah,
that's for the new property. Something's being constructed.
That's for new properties.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah. And then we come to different taxes which apply to the purchase price. Yeah. So the purchase price is for resale properties is 7%, while the purchase tax for a new property will be 10%. 10% plus stamp duty of 1.2%, which is currently the case. And yeah, and then of course you pay the notary, the registration fee, and your lawyer's fee. So, and then it depends if you buy a plot, for example, a plot may apply 21% VAT on top of the purchase price, which is a huge difference to a resale plot, which is owned by an individual, where only 7% applies to be paid. So it's quite complicated. But all of this you can read in our website.
Yeah. Our website will keep you straight, and of course we will give any answer by anybody who wants any clarification. We've got location, we have an offer, we have lawyers talking about a private contract if the offer's been accepted. The lawyers of the buyer usually do a lot of due diligence, okay? Because you hear about horror stories about vendors in Spain, blah blah blah. In Sotogrande, because it's 60 years old, okay, and there's a plan from the town hall that is that old, there's pre-approval almost for any construction on a new plot. So the lawyer of the buyer's lawyer is going to do some due diligence on that property to ensure that there are no encumbrances, to ensure that there's no debts on the property, to ensure that a mortgage will be paid off before it is purchased, to make sure all the legal things of the property are there. Similarly, someone might want to send, and most do, a surveyor. So when you're buying your house, you want to actually have someone go and check and make sure that, of course, there are no structural issues, but what else? What's the condition of, in particular, resale, underfloor heating or air conditioning? Is any humidity in the house that maybe needs to be reflected or repaired?
Or if you buy the property furnished or unfurnished.
Yeah, so all those are things that you need to consider. But once all that's done, okay, the private contract is signed, the 10% is down, and the time has come to actually buy your house on or before date in the future, which everyone's agreed, we go to the notary. What happens to the notary?
What happens at the notary? The notary will approve of all the documentation being provided. That means the documentation of the buyers, of the vendors, of the property itself. And once that's all checked and approved, then the vendor and the buyer sign off the escritura.
Okay, and you get your home. And the keys will be handed over at the notary. You will have to hand over a check, okay, from the bank. Sometimes it's done these days with transfers and things, but so that is the formality, if you like, of that. So there you are. A summary of the buying process in Sotogrande, of buying a house. All the detail is in our website. Please do give either Stephanie or me a call, an email, and we will be very happy to help you out with your purchase of a property here in this beautiful place called Sotogrande.